Hello traders, welcome to Flow with the Markets Wednesday. It's time to have a look how the market has developed so far this week and to potentially throw a little bit of a forecast of what we can expect for the rest of this week and if we do have any potential setups setting up for today. So without further ado, let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Alright, so I'm gonna start with the fact that the market went a little bit crazy this week and it still hasn't done absolutely anything. Now, of course, if we go to check out the economic calendar overall, we did have so we pretty much had a bank holiday on Monday, so Monday it was normal to be choppy, right? And then yesterday we did have some Euro news, some USD speech here. We did have a speech from FOMC here as well. CAD news, so not a lot of USD, not a lot of other currency pairs as well. And then today we had NZD and GBP CPI, right? And then for the rest of the day, we do have this home sales. Then we have FOMC meeting minutes, which is usually not something extremely volatile because that is literally just the minutes. It's like a summary of what they actually talked in the last FOMC meeting. And I personally think tomorrow is the day at which we are actually going to start having the moves. So again, I always frame my trading and my weeks based on the news. And again, as you can see so far, the DXY hasn't done anything. Now again, I'm still overall bearish on the DXY. We're still working from that 4 hourly, if I just delete everything, sorry. We're working from that daily bearish imbalance here. We had a tap on Friday and then you can see Monday did nothing, Tuesday did nothing, and today is looking like it wants to get even smaller, but still I'm recording this 40 minutes into London Open, so again the day is still too early. But now if I want to actually say what do I expect, I honestly don't know. Because we're chopping right now for 3 days. So when you see this, so right, you can usually see this happening a lot of times. So for example here, right, we had, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days until the market actually made the move. And if you go to look at it at other places as well, the market does tend to consolidate a little bit before it makes a move. And when does it make the move? When the news come out. When are news coming out? Potentially tomorrow. So I would expect today to potentially set up for tomorrow. And what could potentially happen is, of course, I'm going to be marking out my previous daily highs here in this case, previous daily low as well. And I'm going to be looking potentially once again, because I'm overall bearish bias, for a sweep of previous daily high, maybe today. And then, for example, tomorrow to start setting up for shorts. But that is my short outlook. Now, is it impossible for this market to go up? Absolutely not. It could definitely go up as well. But usually, again, the weekly time frame right now is I am overall bearish after seeing this bearish week last week. Currently, we kind of made a little bit of a pullback. So I would expect for this week to start rolling down potentially towards this liquidity target. But again, I need to see something to support that idea. The daily tap, it's not doing anything right now for 3 days overall. And then I go to the hourly time frame where it gets an absolute mess. And this is literally where I actually stop, right? So this week I haven't taken any trades because I simply recognize that we are chopping around. Like if you remember the very first outlook that I said, I was actually quite excited for this week. And I'm super glad that I didn't go into this week very FOMO to try to catch something. Is we had this daily zone, and out of this daily zone, we had this 4 hourly bearish zone, right? And you can see on Monday, the market tapped. It looked like it wanted to flush. That would have been definitely something very nice to see. But no, it reacted, then it broke, then it didn't make a new 4 hourly imbalance. And then since then, it's just madness. So again, currently we can of course come to sweep that high, which is like that high that pulled back into the daily, but right now it's failing to push lower. So that could be weak as well, right? But essentially what I want to see right now from the DXY is I don't have a bias. So I'm just simply waiting for some sort of momentum, some sort of an imbalance, some sort of a break of structure somewhere, because it's absolutely choppy, right? So would it be maybe a sweep and then a very nice reversal lower? Would it be just a very nice push lower with an imbalance so that I can follow it? Would it be, I don't know, maybe just a massive push higher to build some bullish order flow? I need to see something because we don't have anything, right? And if you're actually good at spotting consolidations even before they happen, you just remove yourself from the charts and you just don't care. And this is what I've done this week. So Monday, I just removed from my chart because it was bank holiday. Then Tuesday, yesterday, I was just looking at how Monday played out and I was looking that there wasn't any imbalances forming overall. So I was like, this market is choppy right now. It's probably waiting for the news on Thursday. So I once again removed myself from the charts to just avoid forcing any random trades. Because I can right now potentially go to the 1 hourly time frame and say, oh, right, well, we got this bullish here. The market is going higher. We tap, chop, then you get a stop loss. Ooh, right now we had this bullish here. You try to take a long again, you get stopped, right? Why? Because the market is just chopping. So zoom out and see that nothing is currently being respected. So the market is building up for something. So again, we have to wait for that to happen and then look to strike. So this overall choppiness on the DXY makes also the rest of the pairs chop. And I look at your USD. We had a beautiful daily tap. We had a beautiful 4 hourly. The market tapped, beautiful, tried to follow through, and it didn't make sense to me not to push into that daily target. There was nothing to stop it to the left, so we just attempted to push, failed. Then it came back to take out this weak low. Why is this a weak? Because it failed to make new imbalances higher and to pretty much follow through. Took it out, didn't make anything bearish. Right, and since then the 4 hourly time frame got into a consolidation, and you can see currently we're trading in this shit with excuses. Like, this is just bad. This, I haven't seen such a market in a very long time, but you can see it does tend to happen. If you just go a little bit, if you try to find a couple of examples, you see that there are periods like this when it just goes crazy, and you just have to wait for those periods to be over, right, and then trade when the time is right. So currently, again, I absolutely don't know where this one is going. So if this first tap, if that daily imbalance actually failed to push the market higher, then it could potentially become liquidity. But in order for me to go into that daily zone, I need to see some sort of a zone once again to drive me into there. I don't have anything on the 4 hourly. And then, of course, you can drop to the 1H, but the 1H is just, I was actually looking for longs yesterday. Because again, I was over a long bias. We had a push, we had a pullback, so I was looking for the market to continue going higher, but we didn't have a single 1 hourly bullish imbalance to show me that it actually wants to go higher. So I didn't trade, right? Lack of momentum, I don't trade. Then we had this nasty spike lower. It printed this bearish, right? And right now it's absolutely doing nothing. So this morning, I mean, we took out Asian high, or not really? Yeah, probably another broker we did. Took out Asian low, reacting, it's just nonsense. So once again, similar to the DXY, I am just waiting. And there are times like this when the dollar just gets extremely choppy, so you don't get any setup. So once again, is the market gonna take out this low and then reverse? Great. Is it gonna start impulsing higher? Great. Is it gonna massively break below and start impulsing lower? Great, right? I want to see something so that when I actually jump onto the charts, I perfectly know what I'm looking at. And for the last, for example, 3 days this week, I have been jumping on the charts, right? It was only clear on Monday, and then on Tuesday yesterday, super choppy, and then today I'm also jumping on the charts. It's even uglier. So, not gonna trade. GU, like look at GU. Of course, we were expecting potential longs to see if we're gonna be holding from that 4 hourly zone, or are we gonna pull back deeper into the daily? Well, we did tap into the 4H, but look at what we did later. Absolute mess. And just this morning we had the CPI. The market is right now making a very big move higher, but I don't want to chase this. I don't want to chase this because it's getting it's not getting a little bit higher, but I just don't know. After all of this, and right now looking at this massive expansion, that can very easily also turn back. So I'm very hesitant when I see consolidation market like this, and then when I see a massive move like that, because oftentimes it could be consolidation, manipulation, and then to potentially reverse. All right. So I am looking currently for 4 hourly zones to trade from. So in this case, I'm going to wait for this candle to close. Then I'm going to wait for one more candle to close. If we do get a 4 hourly bullish imbalance here, that is when I'm going to be trading. If the next 4 hourly candle opens and just massively flushes lower and invalidates this potential 4 hourly imbalance from forming, then I would even look for shorts targeting this daily zone. Right. So again, look at the order flow, watch the market, see which direction the imbalances are printing, and then follow that. Okay. So looking again on GU, I'm looking for this hour to pass and then looking for 4 more hours to pass until I see, for example, fall imbalance. Only that I'm going to trade, and very likely I'm only going to be trading tomorrow and on Friday, because tomorrow we have the news. So I do believe today could be making some sort of a manipulation in order to set up for tomorrow. Now, Aussie dollar looked absolutely incredible. And if you remember, if you actually listened to me on the weekly outlook, I said, when the market is looking way too perfect, it's not. Right? Sometimes you get like extremely simple, easy setups, and then they usually end up not playing out. It's very funny, but that tends to happen, right? We had that beautiful daily zone on AU. We tapped into the daily. We made this beautiful fall going higher. The market just smashed into this 4-hourly zone, and it also printed a bearish zone. So at that time, I automatically knew that the market will potentially once again struggle to go higher. But what we also did is we came back to sweep this low, right? So I was actually looking to take longs also on AU yesterday, but it didn't provide any entry. It was extremely choppy. And just right now this morning, we are taking out the previous daily high, this high, and we're tapping into this 4-hourly imbalance that hasn't been retested, and we're right now very nicely reacting from it. So is this the next target, or are we just right now reacting from this 4-hourly zone and then eventually going to reverse higher? Again, then you drop to the 1-hourly and you see the mess. It's a consolidation. So learn to spot consolidations from as early as you can, so that you can actually remove yourself from the chart and save yourself some losses, some pain, and pretty much some unnecessary trades. Now from that 4-hourly zone, we actually got a 1-hourly imbalance going lower. We pulled back, and it looks like so far we're getting a little bit of a bearish order flow. Now what I would like to see is how this 1-hourly candle is going to close in actually, in 10 minutes, okay? And then potentially I can look to see if I'm going to be given any shorts from here to then potentially target that low. Because currently, if I really want to scalp this market, if I'm looking to force something, which I'm probably not, this is the only thing that I see. The 4-hourly, this 4-hourly zone holding, very nicely rejecting, the previous daily high being swept. So a lot of sellers are potentially entering from that. The 1-hourly time frame actually starting to guide me lower. Again, the imbalances right now are starting to point lower. We actually have 2 of them, right? Which definitely confirms the order flow. So that is a potential trade that I see could happen. Am I gonna take it? Very likely not. Because I recognize that the market is right now a little bit crazy. So I just want to wait for even clearer daily and 4-hourly price action in order to take a high probability trade. Okay, so that is AU. If you're looking to force something, this is something that I would look at right now, starting in around 10 minutes. Now, NZUSD played out very nicely. It actually failed. So that was the only good trade, which was based on a no follow through concept that we have, which is pretty much this 4-hourly bullish imbalance. We had candle 1, candle 2, candle 3. You can see it's not holding. Then after this candle here, right on Monday, if you drop to the 1-hourly time frame, you got quite a few nice entries. You had this 1-hourly bearish imbalance, and you also have this 1-hourly bearish imbalance that pretty much drove you. They act as a guide. They guided you into that daily bullish imbalance. Then that daily bullish imbalance got tapped, but we didn't move yesterday. When did we move? We moved today. Why? Because we had interest rate today for New Zealand, and we took out that daily high right now. So pretty much the job is done. The job is done. Massive sweep, I would say. It definitely looks like a sweep. And right now you could potentially look to try to continue higher if after 1 hour and 7 minutes we get this 4-hourly bullish imbalance. You might potentially look to see if we can carry on higher. But to me, if this one was going to go higher, it should have potentially like maybe closed above with the 4H above. Right, so close with a body and like show us signs that it wants to continue higher. This candle to me looks like a sweep. This looks like a sweep, and I already start looking at the hard time frame. What you can see right now is we're in a candle 3 of potential weekly. So if I delete everything, we could be forming this week a new weekly bullish imbalance, so that next week the market can tap into that and then potentially go higher. So is this week kind of already gone for NZUSD? Definitely possible. I would personally just look to see how this 4-hourly zone right now is going to hold, and if it's actually going to respond from that. So waiting 1 hour for this one to close, and then potentially from there to be looking for something. If nothing is provided, then pretty much I am not gonna trade. So that's NZUSD. Gold, so gold straight headed for the liquidity. We had this 4-hourly zone, but it just went for the liquidity and it took it, right, without even pulling back. And this is the first thing that happened on Monday. I do believe I said this, like, it's getting so close to the liquidity, and usually at that time it doesn't make any sense for the market to be pulling back and to be giving you a setup, because it's just gonna rush into it. Now, as we took out this massive liquidity, this is the all-time highs, right? Yeah, so we took out pretty much the all-time highs once again, right? And what we have is we actually had this massive wick here, and then we have this daily imbalance. We tapped in yesterday, it looks like it's reacting, and today is too slow. Why is this? Well, probably because it's waiting for some sort of news. Now, we got a tap of that daily imbalance yesterday, but you can see we're not reversing off of it. So is the market going to come to sweep the previous daily low today and then potentially move later today or tomorrow? Or is it going to reverse to potentially, like, again, we're in a potential candle 3 of a weekly imbalance, to potentially wait for that to form, because we're taking weekly liquidity. And usually when a weekly liquidity is taken, the market would like to rebalance also something on the weekly. So when, for example, you have a very massive weekly liquidity taken like this, and then you have a daily rebalance, that daily rebalance is again one time frame lower than the weekly, so it's not gonna be as strong. So there's a little tip right there. But again, I will still be looking for longs. The key is right now we're not getting the signs. It tried yesterday, failed. Right now it's starting to pull back. It still needs liquidity. It still needs to probably also rebalance. So I'm going to be working with that previous daily low to see if this one is going to get swept. And then if we start getting 1 hourly and 4 hourly imbalances going higher, then you can potentially once again target your all-time highs. Although after all-time highs are taken, you're usually going to see that the market ends up making a bigger correction or a bigger pullback. So even gold right now is not ideal. I don't like it. So very, very, very patient. Again, just focusing on protecting my capital. Now here's the JPY. Yeah, I probably didn't know what to expect on this one because we were tapping into that daily zone, but we were also tapping into weekly zone, right? So of course the weekly holds a lot more importance. That daily zone currently is potentially getting destroyed, and we're getting a new 4-hourly imbalance is higher. There's one, and this is where the market actually, yeah, we had another one, but then we tapped into that one, and right now we're starting to go higher. So this could act as liquidity, but even UJ is quite messy. Daily time frame, what do we have? We don't have anything bullish on the daily. So 4-hourly time frame, we tapped into this, we're starting to react. On the 1-hourly time frame, not a single 1-hourly imbalance going higher. So that is what I call a choppy market. I don't want to be trading choppy markets like that. So I would say that potentially we're going to be, if I'm to potentially like throw a forecast or a draw on liquidity, I'm going to say that it's this high. But then the other question comes, like, how do we get to this high? We don't have anything on the 1H to potentially again guide us there. So then, of course, you might drop to the 50-minute, but you're already dropping to way low probability time frame to be getting some zones from. So again, like we tapped in here with 50-minute bullish, 50-minute bullish. There are some 50-minute bullish ranges here that you can definitely be following. But I personally love 1-hourly. If I don't get 1-hourly to guide me, I usually don't trade. So UJ, I could forecast this high to be taken, but I don't have any zones to potentially trade from in order to get to that high. So not gonna trade, not clear. So we said that the JPYs are probably a very good idea to be traded, and there it is. So EJ had this beautiful forward imbalance, just pinged and went. And then after this, again, this happened the very first thing on Monday. So probably you didn't catch it because it was the absolutely first thing that it did on Monday. Pinged into that forward imbalance, took out that projected high, and then since then, let's see what it's doing. I haven't checked that out, so that's the first time I'm checking it. On the daily time frame, we did form a daily imbalance here, but it's a breakaway gap because it's running away. Runaway gap, breakaway gap, whatever I like to call it, because it's running away and very likely it's not gonna come back to retest. So then at that time, you try to consider something on the 4-hourly, which we didn't get. On the way up, we didn't get a forwardly bullish imbalance. On the way down, we didn't get a forwardly bearish. And right now we're getting this potential bullish to work with. But the market is already seems like it's running away, driving towards the liquidity target. And on the 1 hourly, man, why is the market so shit this week? Like, it's just crap. I'm sorry, but I don't enjoy even looking at it right now. So, I mean, currently we have this forward zone. Is the market going to pull back here in order to reach the high? Could be, but looking at what it's doing right now, why is it making this very big push and just stopping below that drawn liquidity? Like, why isn't it just taking it out and then, I don't know, then starting to pull back to rebalance? So this is how I would like to tackle it, or I would like to tackle it on the 1 hourly time frame, which we're currently just about to get a potential 1 hourly zone to enter from. So if we do get something like that, it's definitely possible, but is it going to pull back? Because the 50-minute already looks like it's going to reverse. It's absolutely not nice. So there are my two situations for EJ. Let's see how they play out. That is how I would potentially look for it if I was looking to trade EJ. GJ, of course, yeah, with the CPI, it's rocking right now. But in fact, you can see it's very nicely, oops, my alert, very nicely trending. We had this forward imbalance, it tapped, it tried to follow through, then it came back to take some liquidity, and then right now it's just rocking higher. We have a very big line here. What's that? Okay, that's the weekly high. So very likely we're going towards that weekly high. And we're forming also daily imbalances, but we're not pulling back into any. Why? Because the market doesn't have any struggle to the left. It doesn't have anything to potentially like cause the market to make a deeper pullback into a daily zone and then potentially go from there. So in that case, you try to work with forward zones. On this pullback, the market didn't really tap into anything. And right now we're impulsing higher. So, there was actually one here. This is where the market actually responded, but that is just before the CPI. So right now we're taking forward liquidity. We know that we have daily imbalances below, but if in 1 hour this candle closes like this, and then in 4 more hours we do get a new forwardly bullish imbalance, then I will be curious to trade from that, and again to have my drawn liquidity in mind, which is this, what looks to be like an all-time high, right? So that's GJ. I'm waiting. Very nice impulse. I want to see if this one is going to persist. Very similar to GU. I want to see how this one is going to close strongly. I want to see if we're going to have a daily, a forwardly bullish imbalance, and only then I'm going to try to trade it. Okay, so that's GJ. And indices, they are kind of, so this setup overall played out. We did have, oh, this played out perfectly here. So we did have this imbalance that was formed at the beginning of the week. We had a tap on Monday, we fulfilled the target, then we started pulling back. But on that pullback, we didn't have any other zones to be working with. So then here we swept out that previous daily low. So that's Monday's low. Tuesday swept it and still went on to take out and make new all-time highs. And currently we are working with this forward zone. And if this one fails, then potentially on the daily, we don't have anything all the way until that weekly. So I do think potentially a pullback is incoming. This is why we're seeing like this slowdown on the DXY and on the indices. You have to be feeling the market as well, like the overall, the whole market, right? Not just, for example, Euro USD, but the whole market. Because, for example, NZUSD, as it was chopping all day here, it told me that AUD USD will not potentially move. GU chopping like this, it told me that EU potentially is not gonna move. And then also seeing the indices chopping around a little bit, it tells me something also about the dollar, that something could be cooking. All right, so just because we have a very clear bias, don't get married to it. I'm always fluid. I'm always changing my bias whenever necessary, and I don't care if I'm wrong or right. All I need to do is just jump on the chart, see a very good bias that I'm sure of, take the trade, and potentially for it to be a win. I don't trade to be right. I trade to just be to make money and follow my plan. So currently this is what we are tapping, and this is the only area that we have. So is the market right now going to hold and make new areas higher? That's going to be good. Or is the market going to invalidate this one and start making bearishness? And if it makes bearishness, then we can start targeting all these lows. Okay, so far bullish signs overall. Let's see how New York today plays out. Definitely so far bullish, but what I don't like is that we just keep taking all-time high, and not really clearly moving bullish above it. This trade here was nice from that daily zone, but then these 4-hourly zones here, after taking this massive monthly, I think we might be due for some sort of a pullback coming soon. Now, NASDAQ as well, also very nice delivery, by the way. What we forecasted here had this 4-hourly bullish imbalance coming from this daily. Beautiful trade, taking the target. Then we had, of course, this 4-hourly bullish imbalance as a follow through. The market pulls back, tries, fails, then it comes actually to sweep it during the session. And right now it's still going higher. I mean, indices is not that bad, but you know that I don't really focus on indices. So we have this 4-hourly zone right now. And yeah, this is similar to SPX. That is the only thing that we can be working with right now. If this 4-hourly zone fails, then, and if we start printing bearishness, then this potential low could go. But if it holds, then potentially right now you can be dropping to the 50-minute, to the 1-hourly to be looking for bullish moves. So NASDAQ definitely does look stronger. We don't have any daily imbalances as well. The only one we have that is not retested is that guy. So if you start getting some bearishness, what I really would like to see actually is some sort of bearishness, but we're already going to have a weekly imbalance. So very likely next week, we're going to be getting a pullback into that weekly zone to retest all-time highs. And then potentially we can go higher. So again, this week could be one of those choppy weeks, although it did look pretty good in terms of news. And US30 is showing us some weakness. Yeah, so this one is not looking like it wants to hold because it already took out the liquidity. The first thing that it did on Monday is take out the liquidity, and then it reversed back into this daily, which no longer exists because it was tapped. And right now it's giving us bearish signs. In fact, it is US30 always moves differently, which is strange. Like NASDAQ and SPX are quite bullish. This one is showing us bearish signs. And again, I think it's currently like building this weekly bullish imbalance to potentially tap it next week and then maybe start going higher from there. Or it is preparing for a slightly bigger pullback. All right, so that is US30. I wouldn't really trade it. NASDAQ and SPX look a lot better. But pretty much making a full circle back, I am literally not trading. So far this week, I've been extremely patient, although like the previous week, we did have some cleaner moves. This week so far, it's absolute disaster. So if you are over trading right now, this is pretty much the times at which the market takes all of your money. Like if you have made some earnings, if you have performed very well and you're maybe getting a little bit pumped, or you're just looking to have that mindset to be trading every single day, have to be showing up, have to be taking setups, this is where you blow your earnings at markets like that, right? Absolutely not interested in anything because you can see it's really choppy. The only thing that I'm looking for right now is potentially this AU scalp, if it's gonna pull back into this hourly to see if it's gonna drive me lower. Is this a high probability trade? Absolutely not, because that means the dollar should be going higher, which doesn't give me a lot of clues that it actually wants to do. Gold is choppy as well. NZUSD just had the interest rates and it's making some massive wicks, sweeping the highs, not breaking above them. Indices, they do look bullish, but I think I'm expecting some sort of a pullback on the indices. And the JPYs, I would focus more on GJ, but I would potentially wait on GU and GJ for a fall imbalance to form to then use that as an area to work with. All right. So I'm going to cut it here, slightly bit longer than I wanted it to be. Absolutely no setups for me so far. So pretty much staying on the sidelines, waiting for clear 4-hourly zones, clear trends, and only then I'm going to be capitalizing. So trade safe, recognize these conditions, and be a professional.